Welcome to the Schaefer Method, the guide to your health, level 9. The 5 essentials to life: food, sleep, water, oxygen, and sunlight. Without them, we're not alive. We don't live. Our planet doesn't exist. We don't exist. So obviously, I think they're very important, and my goal is to help you improve them and to optimize them. Now, we will also get into exercise and activity. They can be very useful also to help improve the quality of life, but once again, they're not important for life. So, who is this level for? Level 4 is for that person that is pretty advanced in their health, that have been taking a lot of responsibility and have done a lot of things to improve their health, but yet are also looking just for a few answers to maybe move along and maybe optimize it a little further. This process, this level, should take 1 to 2 weeks. Once again, though, if you want to take your time and you do it over 3 or 4 weeks, it's just to really get it ingrained before you move to the next level. Please take your time. Expect to be challenged. Expect to have some days where you really want to maybe cheat and get off the wagon for a bit, and that's okay. Don't fall. Just keep working towards it. Keep trying to achieve the level, and over time, we'll show you how to, I guess, cheat appropriately and not to be such a stiff. So with that said and done, work through these levels and improve your health as much as you possibly can, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. Breakfast, we're trying to get rid of all those processed packaged foods, so we're going to eat the real food for breakfast. So mostly it's going to be vegetables, proteins, nuts. We're going to try to reduce the sugar and starches for breakfast. Now, this will allow us to have better energy through the day. It'll help prevent us craving sugars throughout the day. Now, breakfast is by this level is set in stone. It's going to be continuous. We won't be cheating or deviating from breakfast very often. Now, there's always that time that you might, Valentine's morning, where your significant other maybe brings you pancakes in bed, and well, I guess that might be a substitute for you or an alternative, but that shouldn't happen very often. Most days you should be pretty consistent. Now, we can use a protein shake if needed. I'm a big fan of real food, so they shouldn't be all the time, but it can come in when we're in a pinch. So find a good protein shake. You can find a good one on the products page. And I do encourage, especially you ladies that will lean a lot on eggs for breakfast, to make some soup. If you can also do dinner the night before, you can have a little extra dinner and eat that for breakfast. But soup works really, really well. You make a big hearty stew or soup with vegetables in it, and throw some protein in that soup, and you can eat that. It's warm, it's nourishing, you'll feel great. It also can make a great snack when you're in a pinch. Lunch will be every day this phase, and our goal is to just eat fresh, wholesome foods. So a lot of vegetables, a lot of salads. Use your different types of proteins. Lunch is a good time to experiment with a lot of different types of fish. I encourage you to make your own salad dressings, but hey, if you go out for a salad somewhere, just check in and see if it's lower in sugar, lower in carbohydrates, and then also more natural. So the olive oil and vinegar is going to be much more natural than maybe a store-bought kind that they would have some artificial stuff in there. Dinner is going to be 5 out of 7 days. So you still have 2 days a week that you can splurge and make something a little bit different. Maybe have some starches or some rice dishes or some pasta dishes. If you're going to go gluten-free, this is where you'd have the gluten-free pastas. Sweet potatoes work good on your other 2 days, but on the 5 days out of the 7, you're going to focus on the proteins and vegetables and fruits, and we're going to eat really well, clean, nourishing foods for those other 5 days. So our goal this phase is really to get dinner down and keep it as nourishing as possible. When it comes to snacks, 1 to 3 snacks per day. If we need more than 3, most likely we're not eating enough protein for lunch and for breakfast. So just keep that in mind. If you need a lot of snacks, eat a little bit more for those meals. You'll find that your snacks will go down significantly. Once again, this is every day. This is your new snacking foods. You can explore some other options, but we're going to try to keep them as healthy and fresh as we possibly can. And be careful with the nuts and the dried fruit, especially if you're trying to lose weight, lose some body fat. Nuts and dried fruit, they can add up really quickly when you just start eating them, and then you end up eating a lot more than you think you should have. Dried fruit has a lot of sugar in it, so that can also be a factor, but they can work great if weight's not an issue. You can splurge a little bit on them, but if you're really trying to lose weight, be careful with especially the dried fruit. Water will be every day. By now, you should really have an idea what your water level should be. Take your body weight, divide it by 2, put it in ounces is a safe rule to go by. But for the most part, it's finding your hydration levels. It's experimenting with a little bit more, a little bit less, and finding which one makes you feel the best. A good way to measure that is just your energy levels. If you notice you're a little sluggish, there's a good chance you'd have some slight dehydration. But also a good way to measure that is your stools. If your stools are hard, a lot of times there's dehydration plays a role in that. If you're constipated, there's a good chance dehydration plays a role with that. So drink plenty of water. It'll help reduce the cravings for other drinks. Coffee and tea are great also. I'm not against those. It's really what we put in with it that makes it bad usually. Sleep. Sleep is something that we start out early on this process to improve upon. Our goal is for people to get between 6 and 8 hours a night. That is usually a good number for most people, but you should be finding your zone right now and finding how much sleep you really need. If sleep is a problem for you and you're not getting that amount of time, first off, you have to give yourself the opportunity to get 6 to 8 hours. But then second off is keep your room dark, keep the lights down as low as you possibly can, and keep the electronics off, especially about an hour before you go to bed. That'll help you quiet your mind. So this is a good time to read a book before you go to bed. Just relax. If you do meditate or do any type of meditation, this is a good time to do that. Just get the body to calm down, and sleep will start to improve. Now, if you're struggling with sleep still, use the Epsom salt baths. They can work great, and the magnesium in the bath can help you. It helps your body relax. Also, really good for constipation. And it's really good if you overwork your body. If your body's sore from a workout or exercise, it's really good for helping reduce that soreness. Oxygen, we want to really focus on improving the air quality and our breathing. And when I talk about breathing, it's really just taking the time to have a few deep breaths, getting used to expanding that lungs, and it feels great. If you just take a moment, take a deep breath, it's very relaxing. So this time to practice. If it's 10 breaths, every day during a 15-minute break at work, just somewhere to start. Air quality typically inside the house is not as good as outside the house, so keep that in mind. So I prefer you to take your breaths outside, but of course sometimes the weather's not cooperating and you have to do it inside, so that's fine also. But the more often that we can be outside breathing fresh air, the better we'll feel. It's very relaxing, and this is 5 out of 7 days. But it's really hard to make up an excuse to not take a couple moments and just breathe. Now I get it, life gets crazy. You have a lot of kids running around and things are happening, but I promise you, if you take those moments, take a few deep breaths, and it'll just help in those situations. It usually doesn't hurt those situations. Sunlight is our friend. The sun is our friend. Without it, our planet would not exist, and we wouldn't have most of the foods to eat from if we didn't have the sun. So when it comes down to the sun, it's really just finding out how much you need. Right now, vitamin D is a big vitamin that's being pushed by everybody, and we get most of that nutrient from the sun itself. So a couple here tips to think in mind is if you can get too much of a good thing. If you go out and fry your skin and burn yourself, well, that's not being appropriate either. So if you're fair skin, you're going to need less sun, and that's when I would prefer you to cover up than use sunscreen, but if you are going to use sunscreen, use a more natural sunscreen. If you're darker complected, you're going to need more sun to get the nutrients and the benefit from that. So just keep in mind that if you're dark complected and your girlfriend is light complected, or vice versa, that you guys may need different amounts to get the same effect. Getting sunlight in the winter months is crucial for preventing depression and mood disorders. It's really good for preventing yourself from getting sick. So if you're going to take a vacation, take it somewhere warm and sunny in the winter months. Now, 4 out of 7 days, I want you to get out there and get a few minutes of good sunlight, especially if you work inside and you work in those office buildings with all the lights ahead of you. Just get out there and just take a couple moments. Exercise, it's 5 out of 7. So 5 to 7 days for the 7-day period, I want you to get your body moving. It could be a walk, it could be working out, it could be Zumba, it could be whatever we want to call it. If you're new to exercise and you're just getting your body starting to exercise, then focus on the activities first, and then let's slowly progress you into the beginner exercising modules and start getting your body more fit and stronger. Exercise is really good to help enhance our life, but once again, it's not important for life. So I put a lot more weight on the 5 essentials than I do exercise, but like I said, exercise can be very beneficial. Now, if you're advanced and you've been exercising for a long time, please, both the beginners and the advanced, watch the video, and that'll help you determine your starting point for your exercise so that you're in a good place to move forward in your physical fitness and your overall health. Now, extra effort here in this phase is going to be focusing on hormone-free meats, free-range and organic butter. So hormone-free meats are going to be meats that aren't injected with hormones to develop and grow bigger. Remember, the farmer makes money on the size of the animal that he sells, so he can give it a hormone to make it bigger. He makes more money, but it may not be good for your health. So there's some trade-offs here. Now, the free-ranged is basically animals that weren't caged, and that's just for humane reasons, but also for the animal, the way the muscles work and the way the meat's made when an animal moves and doesn't move is different. Just can picture yourself never being able to move your body. You can see how that wouldn't be very healthy for the meat, how your muscles would feel. Well, that's the same thing when we start eating protein. The more that the animal's free, the more it's closer to nature, the better it's going to be for us. Now, when it comes to butter, I'm a big fan of butter. I'm not afraid of it. If you have a dairy issue, then that could be a problem. But if you're going to use butter, which I do regularly, I always use organic butter. It has a lot of health benefits, and it can be very, very good, especially for the young kids that are always going to the fridge eating butter plain. Most of the time, they need the healthy fats from it, and it'll help for brain development. So butter can be very, very useful. But like anything, if you eat 4 sticks of butter every day, that probably wouldn't be good either. So it's definitely a moderation thing, but I wouldn't avoid it too much. Feel free to contact me at any time if you have questions. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Please finish all level 9 before moving on. And think of my whole process as resetting your default. It's changing the way that you were yesterday into a new day. And it takes practice to reset your default. If you think about some of the things that we do every day, if we respond to a situation the same way as we did for the last 10 years, that's our default. And the way to change your default is to practice when you're aware. So you're now becoming aware that you're trying to improve your health. And now that you're aware and we implement a plan, our new default next year hopefully will be more satisfactory to your needs. And when your body is healthy, weight is never an issue. It's when our body is not healthy is when weight becomes the problem. So health first, weight will always come after that. Once you finish this level, please go to the bottom, hit level complete, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at level 10.